The morning sun barely broke through the thick Los Angeles smog as Maya sat in the passenger seat of her mom's car, staring at the massive brick building ahead. Ridgemont High School looked like every other high school she'd seen in movies, complete, with groups of students clustered on the front steps, already deep in their morning conversations. Her stomach twisted into knots. "You're going to be fine, sweetheart," her mom said, glancing over with that worried expression Maya had come to know so well over the past few weeks. "Just remember what we talked about." Maya nodded, gripping her backpack straps a little tighter. What they talked about was simple. Keep your head down, don't mention who your grandfather is, and just try to have a normal experience. Normal. That word felt strange to Maya now. Nothing about her life had ever really been normal, but this was supposed to be her fresh start. A chance to be just another teenage girl trying to survive high school. She pushed open the car door and stepped out onto the pavement. The sounds of the school hit her all at once. Laughter, shouting, locker doors slamming, the occasional squeal of excitement as friends reunited after the weekend. It was overwhelming in a way that made her want to climb right back into the car. "Love you," her mom called out through the window. "Love you too," Maya replied, forcing a smile before turning toward the entrance. The first few hours passed in a blur of paperwork, locker assignments, and confused wandering through hallways that all looked exactly the same. Her schedule said she had English first period, then biology, followed by history and math before lunch. The teachers were nice enough, though they all made her stand up and introduce herself to the class, which was pretty much her worst nightmare. "This is Maya. She's joining us from St. Catherine's Academy," her English teacher announced, gesturing toward her like she was some kind of exhibition. "Let's make her feel welcome." A few students smiled. Most just stared. One girl in the Etoile back row whispered something to her friend and they both giggled. Maya felt her cheeks burn as she quickly found an empty seat near the window. She spent the rest of the class pretending to take notes while actually just trying to become invisible. By the time lunch rolled around, Maya was exhausted from the effort of navigating a new school. The cafeteria was even more intimidating than the hallways. It was huge, packed with hundreds of students, and everyone seemed to know exactly where they belonged. There were the athletes at their tables near the windows, the theater kids clustered in the corner with dramatic hand gestures accompanying every story, the academic types with their laptops open and study materials spread out. And then there were the tables in the very center. Those ones seemed different somehow. The students sitting there carried themselves with a certain confidence like they owned the place. Maya grabbed a tray, picked up a sandwich and an apple she probably wouldn't eat, and looked around for somewhere to sit. Every table seemed full or claimed by established groups. She finally spotted an empty seat at a small table near the back, partially hidden by a large pillar. Perfect. She settled into her seat, pulled out her sketchbook from her backpack, and opened it to a fresh page. Drawing had always been her escape, the one thing that made her feel calm when everything else felt chaotic. She started sketching the view from the cafeteria window, just the outline of trees and the edge of the football field beyond. Is that supposed to be a tree or a mutant broccoli? Maya looked up to find a girl with bright red hair and freckles standing next to her table, grinning. She had kind eyes, the type that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. "Definitely mutant broccoli," Maya replied, surprising herself by playing along. "I'm studying to become a vegetable artist." The girl laughed and started to sit down, but then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her smile faltered just slightly. "Oh shoot, I've got to run. Miss Peterson needs help setting up for the science fair. But hey, I'm Riley. I'll catch you around, okay?" "I'm Maya. And yeah, sounds good." Riley hurried off, leaving Maya alone again with her mutant broccoli sketch. She continued drawing, losing herself in the simple act of moving her pencil across paper. She was so focused that she didn't notice the three girls approaching her table until they were right there, standing over her like a tribunal. The one in the middle was clearly the leader. She had perfectly styled blonde hair, designer clothes that probably cost more than Maya's entire wardrobe, and an expression that somehow managed to look both sweet and dangerous at the same time. Her two friends flanked her on either side, one with dark hair pulled into a high ponytail, the other with auburn waves and a phone already in her hand like she was ready to document whatever was about to happen. "You're the new girl," the blonde said. It wasn't a question. Maya closed her sketchbook slowly and looked up. "Yeah, I'm Maya." "Chelsea," the girl said, as if her name should mean something. "This is Britt and Madison." She gestured to her friends, who both gave little waves that felt more like warnings than greetings. "We noticed you sitting here all alone and we just wanted to come say hi. Make you feel welcome, you know?" There was something about the way she said it that made Maya's instincts kick in. This wasn't friendly. This was an inspection. "Thanks," Maya said carefully. "That's nice of you." Chelsea slid into the seat across from Maya without being invited, and her friends took positions on either side, effectively boxing Maya in. "So where did you transfer from? St. Catherine's, right? That's the private school across town?" "Yeah." "Interesting," Chelsea said, drawing out the word. "So why'd you leave? Get kicked out or something?" "Just wanted a change," Maya replied, keeping her voice neutral. Her grandfather had taught her that lesson early. When someone's testing you, don't give them ammunition. Stay calm, stay vague, stay in control. "A change," Britt repeated like she was tasting the words. "That's mysterious." Madison leaned forward, her phone now conspicuously pointed in Maya's direction. "What do your parents do? They must be pretty well off if you were going to St. Catherine's. That place costs like $40,000 a year." Maya felt the trap closing. Every question was designed to extract information, to find something they could use. She'd seen this before at her old school, though never directed at her. She'd always been protected by her family name there, surrounded by other kids whose parents were in the entertainment industry. Here she was just another target. "My mom's a teacher," Maya said, which was true. Her mother taught music lessons from home. She just left out the part about not really needing the income. Chelsea's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose slightly. "A teacher? But St. Catherine's is so expensive." "Scholarship," Maya lied smoothly. "Academic scholarship." "Oh, so you're like a super genius or something?" Madison asked, and there was definitely a mocking edge to her voice now. "No, just decent at taking tests." Chelsea studied her for a long moment, and Maya could practically see the gears turning behind those cold blue eyes. She was trying to figure out where Maya fit in the social hierarchy, whether she was a threat or someone who could be easily dismissed. "That's a cute jacket," Chelsea finally said, reaching out to touch the sleeve of Maya's denim jacket. "Very thrift store chic." Britt and Madison giggled on cue. Maya pulled her arm back slightly, not aggressive but firm. "Thanks. You know," Chelsea continued, leaning back in her chair like she was holding court. "Ridgemont can be tough if you don't know the right people. It's lucky for you, you just met them. We kind of run things around here, and we're always looking for new friends. Well, the right kind of new friends." "That's great," Maya said, deliberately misunderstanding. "I appreciate the welcome." Chelsea's smile tightened just a fraction. She wasn't used to people not jumping at the chance to be in her orbit. "I'm having a party this weekend. Maybe you could come, if you're cool, obviously." "I'll think about it," Maya replied, which was the politest way she could think of to say absolutely not. The temperature at the table seemed to drop several degrees. Madison and Britt exchanged glances, and Chelsea's smile completely disappeared for just a second before snapping back into place, faker than before. "You'll think about it," Chelsea repeated slowly. "Okay, sure. You do that." She stood up, and her friends immediately followed suit like synchronized dancers. "It was so nice meeting you, Maya. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of each other." The way she said it sounded more like a threat than a promise. They walked away, and Maya could hear them whispering and laughing as they returned to their table in the center of the cafeteria. She looked down at her sandwich, suddenly not hungry at all. Her hands were shaking slightly, and she pressed them flat against the table to steady them. The rest of the lunch period passed without incident, but Maya could feel eyes on her from across the room. Chelsea's table kept glancing in her direction, and every time they did, it was followed by more whispering and laughter. Maya kept her head down, finished her sketch, and counted the minutes until the bell rang. Her afternoon classes were better, mostly because Chelsea and her friends weren't in any of them. In history, she sat next to a quiet guy named Tyler, who shared his notes when she got confused about the seating chart. In math, the teacher was too busy actually teaching to make her introduce herself again. Small victories. But as she walked to her locker at the end of the day, she passed a group of girls clustered around a phone, and she heard one of them say, "That's her, the new girl who thinks she's too good for Chelsea's party." Maya's heart sank. So it had already started. The rumors, the whispers, the social exile. She'd hoped to avoid all of this, to just exist quietly in the background. But Chelsea had clearly decided that wasn't going to be an option. She grabbed her things from her locker and headed for the parking lot, where her mom was waiting to pick her up. As she pushed through the heavy double doors, she took a deep breath of the smoggy Los Angeles air. One day down. However many more to go, how was it? Her mom asked as soon as Maya climbed into the car. Maya thought about the question. She thought about Chelsea's fake smile, the whispers in the hallway, the feeling of being watched and judged and tested. She thought about her grandfather's advice to stay strong, to choose her battles, to never let anyone make her feel small. It was fine, she finally said. Just a normal first day. Her mom looked at her for a long moment, clearly not convinced, but she didn't push. "Okay, honey, if you say so." As they drove away from Ridgemont High School, Maya looked back at the building through the passenger window. She had a feeling that things were going to get worse before they got better. Chelsea didn't seem like the type to let things go, and Maya had essentially rejected her friendship offer in front of her followers. In the complicated ecosystem of high school social politics, that was basically a declaration of war. But Maya had faced harder things than mean girls. She'd been raised by a family that valued strength, loyalty, and standing up for what was right. She just wished she could do it without the constant knot of anxiety in her stomach. That night she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about her grandfather. He was somewhere overseas, filming another movie, living his life in front of cameras and fans. He'd wanted her to have something different, something normal. But as she replayed the events of the day in her mind, especially those few minutes in the cafeteria with Chelsea, she wondered if normal was even possible for someone like her. She picked up her phone and thought about texting him, but he was probably busy. Instead, she opened her sketchbook again and started drawing. This time, she didn't draw trees or buildings or anything from the world around her. She drew a girl standing alone, shoulders back, chin up, facing something just beyond the edge of the page, something she couldn't quite see yet but knew was coming. Maya labeled it in small letters at the bottom. Day 1. She had no idea then just how much everything was about to change, or how that encounter in the cafeteria was just the beginning of something much bigger. She didn't know that in 2 weeks, her carefully constructed anonymity would be shattered, or that the whole school would know exactly who her grandfather was. She didn't know that Chelsea's fake politeness would turn into something much more dangerous. All she knew was that she'd survived her first day at Ridgemont High School, and tomorrow she'd have to do it all over again. 2 weeks had passed since Maya's first day at Ridgemont High School, and things had gone from uncomfortable to unbearable. What started as whispers and cold stares had evolved into something much more calculated and cruel. It began small. Maya would open her locker to find notes slipped through the vents. "Go back to where you came from," one said. "Nobody wants you here," read another. She threw them away without telling anyone, determined not to let Chelsea and her friends see that they were getting to her. But they were. Every single day they were. In the hallways between classes, Chelsea and her group would brush past Maya just a little too hard, knocking her books from her hands. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Chelsea would say with exaggerated concern loud enough for everyone to hear. "I totally didn't see you there. You're just so invisible, you know?" Then she'd walk away laughing, while Maya knelt to pick up her scattered papers and textbooks, trying to ignore the students stepping around her like she was an obstacle in their path. The cafeteria had become a minefield. After that first day, Maya never sat at that table near the pillar again. Instead, she'd started eating lunch in the library, where at least the librarian, Mrs. Chen, treated her with basic human decency. But even there, she wasn't completely safe. Madison had taken a photo of Maya eating alone and posted it with the caption, "New girls got no friends, shocker." Within an hour, it had dozens of likes and comments, each one crueler than the last. In biology class, Maya had been assigned to work on a group project about cellular respiration. She was grouped with 3 other students who clearly didn't want her there. When she tried to contribute ideas, they talked over her. When she offered to help with the poster board, they said they'd handle it. On the day of the presentation, they went up without her, and when the teacher asked where Maya's contribution was, one of the group members shrugged and said, "She didn't really do anything." Maya had sat there, face burning, unable to defend herself without sounding like she was making excuses. The teacher had given her a disappointed look and marked her grade down accordingly. The worst part wasn't even the bullying itself. It was the isolation. Other students had noticed what was happening, but nobody wanted to risk becoming Chelsea's next target. Riley, the red-haired girl who'd been friendly that first day, still smiled at Maya in the hallways, but she never invited her to sit with her group at lunch. Tyler from history class would share his notes, but he never struck up actual conversations. Maya was surrounded by hundreds of people every day, and had never felt more alone in her life. She came home each afternoon exhausted, not from schoolwork, but from the constant vigilance required to navigate Chelsea's campaign against her. Her mom had started to notice. She'd ask questions about school, about whether Maya was making friends, about whether everything was okay. Maya would lie and say yes, everything was fine. She didn't want to worry her mother, and more importantly, she didn't want to admit defeat. She was supposed to be strong. Her grandfather had raised her to be tough, to handle herself, to not back down from challenges. Admitting that a group of mean girls was breaking her spirit felt like failure. At night, she'd lie in bed and think about texting her grandfather. She'd type out messages explaining what was happening, then delete them before sending. He was busy, he was important, and she was supposed to be able to handle this on her own. Besides, what could he even do from thousands of miles away? Fly home and beat up some teenage girls? The thought almost made her laugh, except nothing felt very funny anymore. She'd started training harder in the evenings. Her grandfather had set up a small gym in their garage years ago, complete with a heavy bag, yoga mats, and basic workout equipment. He'd been teaching her martial arts since she was 8 years old. Not the flashy movie stuff, but practical self-defense, discipline, control, awareness, how to read a situation, how to de-escalate, how to protect yourself if you absolutely had to. Maya would spend an hour after school working through the forms he'd taught her, practicing blocks and strikes against the heavy bag, running through scenarios in her mind. It was the only time she felt like herself anymore. Strong, capable, in control. The rest of the time she felt like she was drowning. On the Monday of the 3rd week, things escalated again. Maya arrived at school to find that someone had taped a printed meme to her locker. It was a photo of her from the school directory with the word "loser" written across it in bold red letters. Students walking past slowed down to look, some laughing, others just staring with that uncomfortable mix of pity and relief that it wasn't happening to them. Maya tore it down quickly, crumpling it into her backpack, but her hands were shaking. She could feel the anger building inside her chest, hot and sharp. She wanted to scream. She wanted to find Chelsea and tell her exactly what she thought of her, and her pathetic need to make other people feel small just to feel big herself. But she didn't. She took a deep breath, counted to 10 like her grandfather had taught her, and went to class. In English that morning, they were reading a novel about a kid who gets bullied. The irony wasn't lost on Maya. The teacher, Mr. Rodriguez, opened a class discussion about why people bully others. "It's usually about power," one student offered. "Bullies feel powerless in some area of their life, so they try to control others to feel better." "Or insecurity," another student added. "They tear other people down because they don't feel good about themselves." Maya sat quietly, taking notes, trying to focus on the literary analysis rather than her own situation. But then Mr. Rodriguez asked if anyone in the class had ever experienced bullying or witnessed it happening. The room went silent. Maya could feel several students glancing in her direction, but nobody said anything. The silence stretched out, awkward and heavy. "It's more common than we like to admit," Mr. Rodriguez said gently. "And it's important to remember that standing by and doing nothing makes us complicit. Silence protects the bully, not the victim." Maya wondered if he knew what was happening to her, if he was trying to send a message to the class or to her specifically. But even if he knew, what could he do? Tell Chelsea to be nice? Give her detention? That would only make things worse. At lunch, Maya headed to the library as usual, but Mrs. Chen stopped her at the door. I'm sorry, honey, but the library's closed during lunch today. We're doing inventory. Maya's safe space was gone. She had nowhere to go. She stood in the hallway for a moment, trying to decide what to do. She could eat in a bathroom stall, which was depressing. She could try to hide out in an empty classroom, but teachers usually locked those during lunch. Or she could go to the cafeteria and just deal with it. She chose the cafeteria. She was tired of hiding. Maya got her lunch and found a different empty table, this one near the back exit. She sat down, pulled out her sketchbook, and tried to lose herself in drawing like she had that first day. For about 10 minutes it worked. She was sketching a detailed eye, getting lost in the shading and details when a shadow fell across her page. Chelsea stood there with Britt and Madison flanking her as usual, but this time there was something different in Chelsea's expression. She looked angry, really angry. "We need to talk," Chelsea said. "I don't think we do," Maya replied, not looking up from her sketch. "Oh, I think we do," Chelsea shot back. She grabbed the edge of Maya's sketchbook and slammed it shut. "See, I've been really nice to you. I welcomed you on your first day. I invited you to my party, and you've been nothing but rude." Maya finally looked up, meeting Chelsea's eyes directly. "I haven't been rude. I've been leaving you alone. There's a difference. You think you're better than us," Britt chimed in, her voice sharp. "I don't think about you at all," Maya said, and she meant it. These girls were bullies, but they weren't worth her mental energy. Except they'd made themselves impossible to ignore. Chelsea's face flushed red. "You know what? I tried to be your friend, but you're just a stuck-up nobody who thinks she's too cool for Ridgemont. So here's the deal. You either apologize for being disrespectful, or things are going to get a lot worse for you." Maya stood up slowly, gathering her things. She was done with this conversation. "I'm not apologizing for not wanting to be friends with you, Chelsea. Now if you'll excuse me." She started to walk away, but Chelsea grabbed her arm. "We're not done talking." "Yes, we are," Maya said, pulling her arm free. Her voice was calm, but her heart was racing. "Don't touch me again." "Or what?" Madison said, stepping closer. "What are you going to do about it?" The cafeteria had gone quiet. Students at nearby tables were watching now, phones out, ready to capture whatever was about to happen. This was entertainment for them, drama, a show. Maya could feel the familiar sensation of her training kicking in, her grandfather's voice in her head. "Assess the situation. Look for exits, stay calm. Don't escalate unless you have no other choice." "I'm going to walk away," Maya said evenly. "That's what I'm going to do. And you're going to let me." She turned and headed for the exit, forcing herself to walk normally, not to run even though every instinct told her to get out of there as fast as possible. Behind her, she heard Chelsea say something she couldn't quite make out, followed by laughter from her friends. But Maya kept walking. She made it to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and finally let herself shake. That afternoon, Maya went to her last class of the day, advanced mathematics, still rattled from the cafeteria confrontation. When she sat down at her usual desk, she found another note. This one was different from the others. "Watch your back," was all it said. After school, Maya stood at her locker, taking longer than necessary to pack her bag. She was dreading the walk to the parking lot where her mom would be waiting. The parking lot was where a lot of after-school confrontations happened, away from most teachers and administrators. She'd been lucky so far, but she had a sinking feeling her luck was about to run out. She took a deep breath, shouldered her backpack, and headed for the exit. The late afternoon sun was harsh as she pushed through the doors. Students were everywhere, clustered in groups, heading to their cars, sitting on the low wall that bordered the parking lot. Maya scanned the area for her mom's car. That's when she saw Chelsea leaning against a silver sedan, arms crossed, watching her. Britt and Madison were there too, along with a few other students Maya recognized from Chelsea's usual crowd. They were waiting for her. Maya's stomach dropped, but she kept walking. Maybe if she just ignored them and went straight to her mom's car, nothing would happen. Maybe they were just trying to intimidate her. Maybe this was all just another mind game. She was wrong. As she passed Chelsea's group, heading toward where her mom's car should be, Chelsea pushed off from the sedan and stepped directly into Maya's path. "Hey, where do you think you're going? We weren't finished earlier." "Move," Maya said quietly. "Make me," Chelsea replied, and there was something wild in her eyes now. She'd been embarrassed in the cafeteria, called out in front of other students, She needed to reassert her dominance to prove she was still in control. A crowd was forming. Students sensed something was about to happen and were gravitating toward the drama like moths to a flame. Phones came out. Maya could see at least 5 people recording. "I don't want any trouble," Maya said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I just want to go home." "You should have thought about that before you disrespected me," Chelsea shot back. "You come into my school, act like you're too good for everyone. Ignore me when I try to be nice." "Who do you think you are?" "I'm nobody," Maya said, and she meant it. She was just trying to survive high school like everyone else. She didn't want drama, didn't want attention, didn't want any of this. "You're right about that," Chelsea sneered. "You are nobody," the crowd murmured. Someone laughed. Maya felt the anger rising again, that hot, sharp feeling in her chest. She clenched her fists at her sides, trying to maintain control. "Walk away," her grandfather's voice said in her head. Just walk away, but Chelsea wasn't done. "You know what? I'm tired of looking at your face. I'm tired of you acting like you're special. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to get on your knees and apologize for being such a stuck-up little—" "No," Maya interrupted, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "I'm not doing that. Now move out of my way." Chelsea's face contorted with rage. In that moment, Maya saw it coming. She saw Chelsea's weight shift, saw her arm draw back, saw the intention in her eyes a split second before it happened. Chelsea swung at her face, aiming right for her cheek with an open palm. It wasn't a punch, but it was meant to hurt, meant to humiliate, meant to put Maya in her place once and for all. But Maya had been training for situations exactly like this since she was 8 years old. Her body reacted before her mind even fully processed what was happening. Time seemed to slow down. Maya's left arm came up in a smooth block, deflecting Chelsea's strike away from her face. In the same motion, she pivoted on her back foot, turning her body at an angle. Chelsea's momentum carried her forward, off balance. Maya didn't strike back. She didn't need to. She simply stepped aside, guiding Chelsea's energy past her with a gentle redirect that her grandfather had made her practice thousands of times. Chelsea stumbled forward, her own force working against her. Her feet tangled, and she went down hard onto the pavement, landing on her hands and knees. There was a collective gasp from the crowd. Maya stood there, her left hand still raised in a defensive position, breathing hard, staring down at Chelsea in shock. She hadn't meant to make her fall. She'd just reacted, just defended herself. But Chelsea was on the ground and everyone had seen it. The parking lot was completely silent except for the sound of Chelsea's heavy breathing. Then someone in the crowd said, "Holy crap, did you see that?" Chelsea pushed herself up slowly, her face bright red, her hands scraped from the pavement. She looked at Maya with pure hatred. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," she hissed. But she didn't come at Maya again. Maybe she was embarrassed. Maybe she was scared. Either way, she turned and pushed through the crowd, Britt and Madison hurrying after her. Maya stood frozen, watching her go. Around her, students were whispering, staring, phones still recording. She heard fragments of conversation. "Did you get that? Send me that video." That was insane. Maya's hands were shaking. She looked around the crowd, suddenly aware of how many people had witnessed what just happened. Her mom's car pulled up to the curb and Maya practically ran to it, throwing herself into the passenger seat. "Maya, what happened? Are you okay?" her mom asked, concerned. "Just drive," Maya said. "Please just drive." As they pulled away from Ridgemont High School, Maya looked back and saw students still clustered in the parking lot, still watching, still recording. And she knew with absolute certainty that everything was about to change. Maya didn't sleep that night. She kept replaying the parking lot incident in her mind, seeing Chelsea's arm swing toward her face, feeling her own body react with the defensive moves her grandfather had drilled into her for years. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the moment Chelsea hit the ground, saw the shock on everyone's faces, heard the gasps from the crowd. Her phone had been buzzing all evening. Unknown numbers, social media notifications, messages from classmates she'd never even spoken to. She'd turned it off around 9 o'clock, unable to handle the constant pinging. Her mom had asked her 3 times what happened, and each time Maya had given vague answers. "Just some drama at school. It's fine. I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. She had a sick feeling in her stomach that something big was coming, like standing on train tracks and feeling the rumble before you can see what's heading toward you. The next morning, Maya's mom drove her to school in heavy silence. When they pulled up to the entrance, Maya noticed students staring at her through the car window. More than usual. A lot more. "Do you want me to come in with you?" her mom asked. "I can talk to the principal if something's going on." "No," Maya said quickly. "That'll just make it worse." "I can handle it." Her mom looked unconvinced but nodded. "Call me if you need me." "I mean it, Maya." "Anytime." Maya stepped out of the car and immediately felt the weight of everyone's attention. Students were clustered in groups, and as she walked past them toward the entrance, she heard whispers. Saw people pointing. A few kids she'd never met smiled at her and gave her thumbs up. Others looked at her like she was some kind of dangerous animal. She made it to her locker and was struggling with the combination lock when Riley appeared beside her, practically bouncing with excitement. "Oh my God, Maya. Everyone's talking about what happened yesterday. That video is everywhere. You're like famous now." Maya's stomach dropped. "What video?" Riley pulled out her phone and within seconds had pulled up a video that already had thousands of views. Maya watched herself on the small screen, watched the parking lot confrontation play out from someone's phone camera. The angle was perfect. You could see everything. Chelsea stepping in front of her. The argument. Chelsea swinging. Maya's quick defensive block and pivot. Chelsea hitting the ground. The caption read, "New girl destroys bully at Ridgemont High." "Riley, this is bad," Maya said quietly. "Are you kidding? This is amazing. Chelsea's been a nightmare to so many people. And you finally stood up to her. You're a hero. I'm not a hero. I just didn't want to get hit." But Riley wasn't listening. She was scrolling through comments. "Look, people are trying to figure out who you are. Someone said you must have taken martial arts. Someone else thinks you might be a professional fighter's kid or something." She laughed. "These theories are wild." Maya felt the blood drain from her face. People were digging into her background. It was only a matter of time before someone found the connection. Her grandfather was famous enough that plenty of photos existed online. Old family pictures. Red carpet events from years ago when she was little. If someone looked hard enough, if someone connected the dots. "I have to go," Maya said, grabbing her books and shutting her locker. "Wait, where are you going? First period doesn't start for like 10 minutes. But Maya was already walking away, her mind racing. She needed to think. She needed to figure out what to do before this got any more out of control. The school day was surreal. In every class, students whispered and stared. Some gave her respect nods. Others looked scared of her like she might suddenly attack them. In history, Tyler leaned over and whispered, "That was really cool what you did." Chelsea had it coming. In biology, even the students who'd excluded her from the group project suddenly wanted to talk to her. "Hey Maya, that video was insane. Where'd you learn to move like that?" She gave non-committal answers and tried to focus on the lessons, but it was impossible. The attention was suffocating. This was exactly what she'd been trying to avoid. All she'd wanted was to be invisible, to get through high school quietly. Now she was the center of attention, and not in a good way. At lunch, the library was open again, and Maya headed straight there. But even Mrs. Chen looked at her differently now, with a mixture of concern and something that might have been approval. Maya found a table in the back corner and pulled out her phone, which she'd finally turned back on. The notifications were overwhelming. Her social media accounts, which she barely used, had hundreds of new follower requests. Her direct messages were flooded. Most were supportive messages from students she didn't know. But mixed in were threats. "You think you're tough? Wait until Chelsea's friends catch you alone. You're dead, new girl. Watch your back." Maya's hands shook as she scrolled through them. She thought about deleting all her social media accounts, just disappearing from the internet entirely. But that wouldn't stop the video from spreading. It was already out there, being shared and reshared across multiple platforms. Then she saw a comment thread that made her heart stop. Someone had posted, "She kind of looks like someone famous, but I can't place it." Another person had replied, "Maybe she's related to someone in Hollywood." That fighting stance looked professional. Maya closed her phone and put her head down on the table. This was a nightmare. A complete nightmare. After school, she waited inside the building for 20 minutes after the final bell, letting the parking lot clear out. She didn't want another confrontation. Didn't want more videos. When she finally ventured outside, most students were gone. Her mom was waiting in the usual spot. "How was today?" her mom asked as Maya climbed into the car. "Weird," Maya admitted. "Everyone knows about yesterday." "There's a video," Her mom's expression tightened. A video of the fight? It wasn't a fight. She swung at me and I blocked it and moved out of the way. But yeah, someone recorded it and now it's all over social media. Maya, this is serious. If people are posting videos online, the school needs to know. The principal needs to handle this. Mom, please. It'll blow over. If we make a big deal out of it, it'll just get worse. Her mom didn't look convinced, but she dropped it. They drove home in silence and Maya spent the rest of the evening in her room, ignoring her phone and trying to focus on homework. But every few minutes her mind would drift back to that comment thread. Someone was trying to figure out who she was. It was only a matter of time. That night around 10 o'clock Maya's phone rang. She'd been half asleep, but when she saw the caller ID she sat up immediately. It was her grandfather. Grandpa. Hey, little warrior. His familiar voice rumbled through the phone. It was warm and comforting and Maya felt tears spring to her eyes just hearing it. Your mom called me. Told me what's been going on. You okay? I'm fine, Maya said automatically. Maya, come on, talk to me. And suddenly everything came spilling out. The bullying, the notes in her locker, the isolation, the cafeteria confrontation, the parking lot incident, the video, all of it. Her grandfather listened without interrupting, and when she finally finished, she was crying. I tried to handle it like you taught me, she said, her voice breaking. I stayed calm. I didn't escalate. I only defended myself when I had to. But now everyone's talking about me and trying to figure out who I am, and I'm scared they're going to find out about you. And then everything will be ruined. I just wanted to be normal, Grandpa. That's all I wanted. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then her grandfather said, You did everything right, Maya, everything. You defended yourself without hurting anyone. You stayed in control. I'm proud of you. But now there's this video and people are asking questions and... I know, he said gently. I've seen it. Your mom sent me the link. You've seen it? Yeah, and Maya, you looked good out there. That block and pivot were textbook perfect. But more than that, you showed restraint. That girl tried to hit you and you could have hurt her badly if you'd wanted to. But you didn't, you just protected yourself. That takes real discipline. Maya wiped her eyes. What do I do now? About people trying to figure out who I am? Her grandfather was quiet for a moment. The truth has a way of coming out eventually, kiddo. We can't control that, but we can control how we respond to it. Right now, you just focus on being yourself. Don't hide, don't apologize for defending yourself, and don't let fear make your decisions for you. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. I feel scared. Brave people feel scared too. They just don't let the fear stop them. Get some sleep, okay? We'll figure this out together, and Maya, I'm going to try to wrap things up here early. I want to come home. You don't have to do that. I know you're busy. You're more important than busy, he said firmly. Always. I love you. I love you too, Grandpa. After they hung up, Maya did feel a little better, but the knot of anxiety in her stomach remained. She checked her phone one more time before trying to sleep, and that's when she saw it. Someone had posted a photo. It was old, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, taken at some Hollywood event. In the picture, a young Maya stood next to her very famous grandfather, both of them smiling at the camera. And someone had put that photo side by side with a screenshot from the parking lot video. The caption read, Wait, is the Ridgemont new girl related to Vin Diesel? The post had been up for only 20 minutes and already had hundreds of likes and comments. People were losing their minds in the comments section. No way. That has to be her. Dude, she's definitely his granddaughter. Look at the resemblance. This explains why she knows how to fight. Maya's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might burst out of her chest. She kept scrolling through the comments, watching in real time as more people made the connection. Someone found her mom's Facebook page and confirmed the family connection. Another person dug up an old interview where her grandfather briefly mentioned having a granddaughter, but keeping her out of the spotlight for privacy reasons. It was over. Her secret was out. By tomorrow morning, everyone at Ridgemont High School would know exactly who she was. Maya tried to sleep but couldn't. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching the shadows move across the walls as cars passed outside. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications, but she didn't look at it anymore. What was the point? She thought about her grandfather's words. Don't let fear make your decisions. Be yourself. You're stronger than you think. Easy for him to say. He'd spent his whole life in the spotlight, comfortable with fame and attention. Maya had spent her whole life trying to avoid it. As the first light of dawn started creeping through her window, Maya made a decision. She couldn't control what people knew about her anymore. The secret was out, but she could control how she responded to it. She could hide and let the attention crush her, or she could walk into school with her head held high and deal with whatever came next. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Riley. "OMG, Maya, is it true? Are you really Vin Diesel's granddaughter? Why didn't you tell anyone? Everyone's freaking out." Maya stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Yeah, it's true. Long story. See you at school." She got out of bed and looked at herself in the mirror. Same face, same person she'd always been. The only thing that had changed was what other people knew about her. She took a deep breath, remembering all the mornings she'd trained with her grandfather, all the lessons about staying centered and strong. "You can do this," she told her reflection. "You've handled worse." Except she hadn't really. This was completely new territory. When her mom drove her to school that morning, the parking lot was more crowded than usual. Students were gathered in groups, clearly waiting for her arrival. As soon as Maya stepped out of the car, she felt all eyes turned toward her. She walked toward the entrance, and the crowd parted like she was royalty or something. People were openly staring now, pointing, whispering. Some called out to her. "Maya, is it true? Are you really related to Vin Diesel? Can I get a picture with you?" Maya kept walking, her face neutral, trying not to show how terrified she was. She made it to the entrance and pushed through the doors into the main hallway. Inside was even worse. Students lined the hallway, all staring, all talking about her. Her phone was buzzing constantly in her pocket. The news had spread to every corner of the school. She got to her locker and tried to work the combination, but her hands were shaking so badly it took 3 attempts. That's when she heard Chelsea's voice behind her. Well, if it isn't Hollywood royalty." Maya turned slowly. Chelsea stood there with Britt and Madison, but something was different. Chelsea looked nervous. She was trying to project her usual confidence, but there was uncertainty in her eyes. The power dynamic had shifted and everyone knew it. "Chelsea," Maya said evenly. "So it's true then? You're actually Vin Diesel's granddaughter, and you just didn't think to mention it? What, were you slumming it here at Ridgemont? Doing research for a movie role or something?" A crowd was gathering again, students pressing in to hear the confrontation. Maya could feel dozens of phone cameras pointed at them. "I wasn't trying to deceive anyone," Maya said quietly. "I just wanted to be treated like a normal person." "A normal person," Chelsea repeated mockingly. "Right. And that's why you went all action hero on me in the parking lot? Because you're so normal?" "You tried to hit me," Maya said, her voice steady. "I defended myself. That's it. That's all that happened." "You humiliated me," Chelsea shot back, and now her voice was rising. "You made me look like an idiot in front of everyone. And now everyone knows you're some celebrity's granddaughter, so of course people are on your side. You're ruining my life." Maya almost laughed at the irony. Chelsea had spent weeks systematically bullying her, making every day miserable, and now she was claiming Maya was ruining her life. "I didn't ask for any of this," Maya said. "I didn't ask to be born into my family. I didn't ask for that video to go viral. I didn't ask for my privacy to be invaded. And I definitely didn't ask for you to make my life hell since the day I got here. All I wanted was to go to school and be left alone." The hallway had gone completely silent. Everyone was watching, waiting to see what would happen next. Chelsea's face was red, her fists clenched at her sides. For a moment, Maya thought she might try to swing at her again, right there in the hallway in front of everyone. But then a voice cut through the tension. "Miss Vandermeer, Miss Toretto. Principal's office now." Mr. Harrison, the vice principal, stood at the end of the hallway, his expression stern. "Both of you. Let's go." Maya closed her locker and followed him, Chelsea walking stiffly beside her. As they walked through the hallway, students stepped aside, all of them staring, whispering, recording. Maya kept her head up and her shoulders back, just like her grandfather had taught her. Whatever was coming next, she would face it head on. The walk to the principal's office felt like the longest journey of Maya's life. Every student they passed stopped what they were doing to stare. Some held up their phones, still recording. Maya could hear the whispers following them down the hallway like a wave. Mr. Harrison led them past the main office where the secretaries looked up with obvious curiosity, then down a short corridor to Principal Wallace's office. He knocked once and opened the door without waiting for a response. Principal Wallace, the 2 students involved in yesterday's incident, Mr. Harrison announced. Principal Wallace was a tall woman in her 50s, with gray hair pulled back in a neat bun and glasses that sat on the edge of her nose. She looked up from her computer and gestured to the 2 chairs facing her desk. "Sit down, both of you." Maya sat, her backpack clutched in her lap. Chelsea took the other chair, sitting as far from Maya as possible. Mr. Harrison closed the door and stood against the wall, his arms crossed. "I'm sure you both know why you're here," Principal Wallace began, her fingers steepled on the desk in front of her. "Yesterday afternoon there was an altercation in the parking lot. An altercation that was recorded and has since been viewed by what I understand to be thousands of people online." Neither Maya nor Chelsea said anything. "I've watched the video multiple times," the principal continued. "Miss Vandermeer, it clearly shows you approaching Miss Toretto and initiating physical contact. Miss Toretto appears to have defended herself. Is that an accurate assessment?" Chelsea shifted in her seat. "She pushed me down. I could have been seriously hurt." "The video shows you swinging at her face," Mr. Harrison interjected from his position by the door. "Miss Toretto blocked your strike and stepped aside. Your own momentum caused you to fall. She humiliated me in front of everyone," Chelsea shot back, her voice cracking slightly. Principal Wallace held up a hand. "We'll get to that. Miss Toretto, do you have anything to add to what we've observed in the video?" Maya took a breath. "I tried to walk away. I just wanted to leave and go home. Chelsea wouldn't let me pass, and when she swung at me, I reacted instinctively. I didn't mean for her to fall. I just didn't want to get hit." "Where did you learn those defensive techniques?" Mr. Harrison asked. "My grandfather taught me. He's been teaching me self-defense since I was young." "Your grandfather," Principal Wallace said, leaning back in her chair. "That would be Vin Diesel, correct?" "The actor?" Maya nodded, feeling her face flush. Even here in the principal's office, her family connection was the focus. "I only ask because that information has become very public in the last 12 hours, Principal Wallace explained. "And it's relevant to what we need to discuss. Miss Vandermeer, I understand you and Miss Toretto have had previous conflicts. Is that correct?" Chelsea crossed her arms. "We had a disagreement. That's all." "A disagreement," Principal Wallace repeated. She opened a folder on her desk and pulled out several printed pages. "I've spent the morning reviewing security footage from our hallways and cafeteria. I've also received reports from 3 different teachers about concerning behavior. Miss Vandermeer, would you like to explain why you've been following Miss Toretto? Making derogatory comments and encouraging other students to exclude her from group activities." Chelsea's face went pale. "I don't know what you're talking about. The footage shows you and your friends deliberately bumping into Miss Toretto in the hallways on at least 4 occasions. Footage from the cafeteria shows you approaching her table in what appears to be a confrontational manner, and I have written statements from students who witnessed you putting notes in Miss Toretto's locker." Maya turned to look at Chelsea, surprised. She hadn't realized anyone had been paying attention. She'd thought she was invisible, that nobody cared what was happening to her. "This is ridiculous," Chelsea said, but her voice lacked conviction. "She's the one who came here acting like she was too good for everyone. I tried to be friendly and she rejected me. Being rejected socially does not give you permission to harass another student," Principal Wallace said firmly. "Miss Vandermeer, you're looking at a 3-day suspension at minimum. Your parents have already been contacted and are on their way here. Depending on what else comes to light during our investigation, further disciplinary action may be taken." Chelsea's eyes widened. "Suspension? But I'm captain of the volleyball team. We have regionals in 2 weeks.